Hello and welcome to another episode of the Business Spotlight series. My name is Claudia Thompson and I'm here with David Mauland from David Mouland Haulage. Welcome to the show, David.
Hello, thank you.
Why don't you start and tell us who you are and what it is you do?
Hi, I'm David Mauland. I run my own haulage business, predominantly specialist. In other words, we use low loaders and we haul machinery and anything that goes on the low loader all over Europe or anywhere. To be honest, we've been covered the whole of Europe and further and beyond.
And you've been going for quite a while. And what would you attribute your growth to?
That's a good question, isn't it? Yeah, we've been going for quite a while now. I don't know, really. It's very hard. I think probably the biggest thing for you is good staff. If you haven't got good staff, there's nothing you can do. So I've always worked on the theory that you employ good staff. If they're not good, don't keep them. A bad apple soon rots a whole bunch. So yeah, truthfully, the growth is you've got to have a good team around you. You cannot do it on your own. There is too much. So that would be my secret to anybody. Make sure you employ good staff and keep good staff.
And on that note, to dig a bit deeper, what is it or what qualities do you look for when you're hiring employees? And how do you make sure you create an environment that fosters a positive attitude and makes them want to stay?
That's a very difficult one to answer. The biggest thing for me, any CV that I get through the door, the first thing I look for is how many jobs have they had. If you can see lorry drivers, but also all general staff, 2 years here, 2 years there, or a year there and a year there, so you know what you're getting. That's not loyal. Don't want that. So we avoid those like the plague. We look for people that are longevity and why have they left somewhere. The timing is of the essence. Timing is the one thing that you want. If you're employing staff, if they happen to walk through the door because of whatever, been made redundant, the business is stopped, whatever, that's the people you're looking for. And they're very, very hard and few and far to find. But when you've got one, you've got to make the environment right. You've got to look after them and treat them as people. You know, I'm trying to be first in and last out in the day, but you know, you've got to talk to people. You've got to be nice to them, and you've got to create an atmosphere that they want to come to work. We spend a lot of time at work. We spend more time at work than we do with our partners. So why do you want to come to somewhere where there's no environment, no friendliness, no fun? And that's not lavishing them with lots of money and gifts, but the small things do count. But for me, the biggest thing is to get staff that are loyal and want to be here, and then you look after them.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And what have been your biggest learnings as an employer?
The biggest learning is to not suffer fools. If you've got a bad apple, you move on, get rid of it. Doesn't matter how much you need. From my point of view, if I need that truck out on Monday morning, if that driver is bad, get rid of him, because what he will do 100%, he will take your better staff with him. So don't suffer it. And your group of people that are around you, your decent group of people around you, appreciate the fact that they are working for somebody that doesn't have that on. And in all my years, and I've had all sorts of other businesses, from nightclubs to anything you can imagine, really, it's always been the same rule. Good staff is what makes a business successful. Bad ones ruin them quicker than anything. So that for me is the hardest, and my hardest days work is just going through. And sometimes you don't want to let them go because of, but you have to. If they're wrong, they're wrong. And that sounds really horrible and tough, but it's not. It's the way it is. Unfortunately, you have to do it. There's no free lunch for anybody. You have to work. Fair man's wage for a fair man's day.
That makes sense. And yeah, that's something I hear a lot from business owners to fire people, even if you, as you said, you don't really want to, or you feel, you know, there's always the human side of things. But yeah, as you put it, a rotten apple will everyone.
And they are, unfortunately, and people, the ones like that aren't loyal to you either. So they just want to see you tip up and fall. It's no good. You have to just make the tough, and it's horrible decisions. I absolutely hate it. But when it's wrong, it's wrong. You've got to move on.
Yeah. If you had to start all over again, you had to start from square one in business, what would you do differently?
Probably nothing. I've enjoyed it. No, I don't think I would change anything. It was very tough in the beginning. the world was a different place. I've been going, what, 25 years, I guess. I don't know, a bit more. It was I wouldn't change anything. No, I enjoyed my journey. I steered the business in the direction I wanted to go into, the type of work we do. Obviously, with trucks, there's a vast difference in work that you can do, from containers to, as we do, low loaders. That's always what I wanted to do. I wouldn't change anything. It was tough, but I wouldn't change anything.
So did you always know where you were headed?
I always knew where I wanted to head. Whether I ever thought I would get there, and I can tell you in the beginning, when you're getting up 3 o'clock in the morning and you're going off driving all day, every day, sometimes I question my sanity, but you don't get anything for nothing. I had to work hard. I did it hard, and then I was lucky. Yeah, I had some lucky breaks. I think life's a bit like a poker game. You're given a hand of cards, and it's up to you how you play them. And sometimes you win with a losing hand, and sometimes you lose with a winning hand. And I think it is the decisions you make. You have to be careful. It's not always easy, but I took some massive gambles throughout my career, and luckily they paid off within reason, touch wood. But, you know, I enjoyed it. I did enjoy it a lot. But yeah, no, it's a tough journey.
So was it some well-engineered lucky breaks?
Yes. Yeah, one or two. I would imagine that, you know, probably didn't play the straight man how I got them. You know, you tell people that you had 35 trucks and you really had one, and things like that. But, you know, you have to, for me, it's always been about service. It's your customer says, and you provide. And that's all. Even to today, we're the same thing now. Money dictates. I understand that more than anybody, but for me, it's still about service. If I've told you I'm going to do it, we're going to do it. And unless things do go wrong, and we will, whatever we got to do to get it moving and keep it moving is what we do. Sometimes it's impossible, but most of the times it's because people can't be bothered. We don't. If we're doing a job for our customer, we will finish it, see it through, and do it properly. And that's always been our services. For me, it's still the most important thing.
Yeah, because quality is your best marketing tool, isn't it?
I think so.
For itself.
I think so. If you tell them you're going to be there at 10 o'clock and you have a breakdown and you ring them and they go absolutely mad because you're not going to be there till 1 o'clock, just make sure you're there before 1. Don't tell them 1 o'clock and then at 1 o'clock say, actually, no, it's 2 o'clock. Everybody has problems, and the truth is what you've got to do. Tell them the truth, give them the service that they require, and move on. And that's what we do. We still to this day do the same. It's all about it. If we're going to be, I can't stand lateness in the workplace. If we had one gentleman moaned at us once because my driver was sat outside his premises at 7:30 in the morning for an 8 o'clock collection. And he said, I can't be doing with these trucks being that early. And I said, I don't think that's early, that's on time. He can't load at 8 o'clock if he turns up at 8 o'clock, can he? He's got to sort himself out and have a break or whatever. So yeah, no, I don't like lateness. We do what we say, and that's what I stick to.
Great. And you mentioned you started at 3 a.m. in the beginnings, and even now you said you sometimes spend more time at work than you spend at home. But how do you manage to balance your work life with your personal life? How do those two go hand in hand?
I know they do, really. I never used to. I've always been 7 days a week. I got married and I went to work the next day. I never had a honeymoon. I think if you're starting a business, it's not an easy route. And I probably didn't do enough home life balance in the beginning. Now I do. Now I've decided that, you know, I'm a little bit older, a little bit wiser, and probably a little bit safer in business. So I've taken my foot off the gas a little bit, and I have a lot more time for myself. But in the beginning, no, I didn't. I worked 7 days a week. Every day was a work day if I could work. Don't get me wrong, I've got hobbies, or a hobby. And I do spend a lot of time with that. So I'm not a complete fool, but yeah, realistically, I worked. If the job was there to be done, you had to do it. And I knew what my aim goal was. I wanted to be successful and I wanted a good business. So I worked, and that was it.
So then what was that first step to get a better work-life balance from that person that used to work 7 days a week?
Probably the fact that I got a phone call up at 6 in the morning and a really good friend of mine had died. And you suddenly think, hang on, life is ticking by rather quickly. Maybe you need to think about this now and start to spend a bit more time for yourself. Don't get me wrong, I have got horses. I've got a team of horses, and I show them all around the country. So I've not always been work. I go off for the summer showing, but no, it did teach me a good lesson earlier this year that you do need to take a little bit of a step back sometimes and have more for yourself, because time goes quicker and quicker as you get older and older.
It's a bit of a wake-up call.
Yes.
Yeah.
Very much so.
And as one last question, what do you think are some common misconceptions about being a business or running a business?
Everybody thinks you sit at home with your feet up, drinking tea and eating toast. It is so not true. If you own a business, it's never out of your head. If you're not physically working, you're thinking about it. You go to the pub on a Friday night and people think, oh, that's it, look at him over there with all his money, or whatever they think. The reality is your business is still in your head 7 days a week. And people never realize that. They think, oh, look at him in there. He's got this, he's got that because he's bought a new car. They don't realize what you do and what you give to get that far. And you're not successful in business unless you are incredibly lucky. But the majority of us work very, very hard to be successful and have to continue. It doesn't just sort itself out and put money in your bank. You have to work for it. And that means you don't actually ever, in my opinion, switch off. I go on holiday, I'm still thinking about business. The phone is still with me nowadays, which has made life easier because you can travel, you can deal with it. But no, it's just not to be successful. It's not as easy as everybody thinks it is. I don't believe it is.
But here you are 25 years later, so still clearly doing something right.
Yeah, definitely. And then the other thing I think is quite important is you have to enjoy what you do. I very much enjoy what we do. I still get a buzz out of driving a truck and fixing them. Probably not buying them anymore. They got too expensive. But I still enjoy my business. So yeah, it's not all bad at all. But I think it's a massive thing to go to work and not be happy. And I've actually lost people through it where you clearly they're not happy working for you. Go and find a job that makes you happy. You're too long at work. And I do enjoy my job. So I've got no complaints about that.
That's a beautiful message to round up our interview. You have to, in the end, you really just have to be happy with what you do.
Yes.
Because otherwise it will never bring you happiness.
No, it won't. Yeah. It definitely won't.
Yeah.
Well, and money doesn't make you happy either, does it? It doesn't matter how much money you've got. If you're not happy with it, you're never going to be a happy person. And that's, you've got to be happy with what you do.
That's a beautiful message. Thank you so much for your time today, David, and for sharing your wisdom. And yeah, I'll speak to you soon.
Okay, good stuff. Thank you.